Good morning, everybody. Welcome to NEWSDR, New England Workshop for Software Defined Radio 2019. Happy to see. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to UMass Boston. We're excited to have this event here. This is our 9th edition of NEWSDR, believe it or not. I'm glad to see a lot of familiar faces, people that have been coming for multiple years now. So glad to have everybody back, and happy to see some new folks in the audience as well. Just a little bit of introduction and overview to a few things for today. First off, I already said, welcome to UMass Boston. Some important information with the Wi-Fi is on the list up here. I'm Michael Ram. I'm a professor in the engineering department here at UMass Boston, along with Alex Waglinski at WPI, Neil Pandya at Edis Research, and Yusuf Naderi, who's on his way here from Northeastern Institution. Again, for many times over, welcome. We're going to spend a couple minutes going through the schedule. Alex will tell you a little bit about some of the events that we have going on today, and then we'll get things started relatively soon. All right.
Thank you, Mike. So first of all, thank you again for showing up to today's event, as well as last night. We had a couple of great, excellent short courses. All of this, before continuing, could not have been made possible without the support of our sponsors. So we want to generously thank MediaTek. We like to generously thank MathWorks, Edis Research and National Instruments, and Analog Devices for their support of this. So let's give them a round of applause for their. So this event is very unique in the area, and in fact in the nation. They're very it really kind of brings together the software-defined radio community, the wireless prototyping proof of concept, and testbed communities to come together and really talk shop, to talk about the latest ongoings of what's happening in SDR. So today's presentations. So last night we had two excellent short courses, one by Analog Devices on using the ADLM Pluto device in order to do wireless prototyping experimentation, and by National Instruments and Edis Research using RF NOC. Today, what we have is, first of all, 15 to 20-minute sponsor overviews. So our four sponsors will talk about their latest and greatest, like what we're anticipating to see coming out from their companies. So this is going to be really exciting to see what the future holds. Then after that, if you have a poster, you have a 2-minute sort of spiel, right, like a sales pitch about what your poster's all about. So this actually really helps because it provides context. It's sort of saying, here I am, this is my poster. If you really are interested in XYZ, come and see me. Okay, so this actually really helps. This energizes the crowd because then our first coffee break happens, and this is where everybody kind of noodles around and says, oh, that's a really interesting poster. Can you talk about that some more, right? So it's going to energize our coffee break, which is following that. Then, after that, is our first technical presentation by the MathWorks on modulation classification using deep learning. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. Any of you that are interested in machine or deep learning and modulation classification, this is for you. And then after that is lunch. So after you're all energized and you burned all those calories, we're going to have a really delicious lunch here, followed by our first invited presentation by Professor Pau Closas. So how many people here know about PNT? PNT, position, navigation, timing, GNS, GPS, all that. Well, that invited talk is going to be about that topic and how you use software-defined radios in order to build PNT systems. And then our second presentation. So how many people know about this little thing called 5G? Show of hands, 5G? Okay. So we're going to have an excellent presentation by the folks at MediaTek about 5G and NR, new radio. Okay, and this is going to be, so I'm really looking forward to that presentation. Then another coffee break because we have to have, that caffeine high. And then after that caffeine high, continuing on the thread of 4G and 5G, we have my friend, Professor Vuk Marjevich from Mississippi State University, give a talk about 4G and 5G security. Oh, this is going to be a goodie, folks. Very importantly, and actually the ballots are with Yusuf, so hopefully we'll have them. Our posters are also going to be evaluated. There's going to be a little bit of competition. I have the gift cards in my pocket where they're nice and safe, and we're going to reveal the results of the viewers or audience choice of who had the best posters. And then after that, we conclude this NEWSDR, we go on our merry way, and we count down the days to the next NEWSDR. So hopefully, any questions? No, oh my God, just like my classes. So with that, I'm going to turn the podium back over to Mike.
Thank you, Alex. Always exciting for Alex's introductions to things. We got to keep those going. We have our first portion of the day today is our sponsor talks, as Alex mentioned. So we'll pull up these, see who's first on the list, and we can start off. Doug, if you don't mind, we'll start with MediaTek.
So let's welcome MediaTek.
Okay, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back at NEWSDR. My name is Doug Remington. I am director of a group here in Boston. We're fundamentally working on mobile phone chipsets. Our focus has been exclusively on 5G for the last year plus. I've been working on it much longer than that. We appreciate the opportunity to support this community and get to know what else is happening, particularly in this geography. Okay, so I want to give a quick overview of our company, and then I have a little more information on some of our recent announcements in the 5G space. So MediaTek is the fourth largest fabless IC design company in the world. Let's say 14th largest semiconductor company overall if you count manufacturers as well. And last year turned over almost $8 billion US in revenue. So a sizable company with a fairly generic name. Our products, we have a fairly balanced portfolio at this point in time. So split almost one-third, with a growth platform or growth products in new markets, growing technologies, growing markets, in the mobile space, which our group is working in, which is both a very large market, very strategic for everything MediaTek does, and then also provides growth opportunities with the transition to new standards, and then competitively. And then finally, a significant tranche of business in more legacy, stable markets. So what do these look like? So mobile would be tablet and smartphone. Growth markets would be voice assistant devices, smart speakers, connectivity and network products, and then the harvest markets would be things like digital TV, optical disc storage, and feature phones. So it wouldn't be a marketing-ish presentation without a big chart full of logos. And what I particularly enjoy about this slide is that you can tell it was created by an engineer because all of the logos are alphabetized. But anyway, the real takeaway here, MediaTek's focus is on very large consumer markets, and we're in just about every large consumer electronics manufacturer that you can think of. I really like this statistic here, and unfortunately this was last updated in 2015, but I think it must be similar or even better at this point. But the idea is that 20% of all households in the world will buy a product with a MediaTek SoC in it each year. So that gives you a sense of the scope of the markets and products we try to attack. Oh, I thought I'd renamed this. Okay, core competency, that's pretty dull. But anyway, the bread and butter for MediaTek. So you can't talk about MediaTek without talking about our heritage in multimedia. So that dates back to optical disc storage and some of the earlier video codecs, for instance. And how is this exhibited now? It continues to be exhibited now with a focus on hi-fi audio. Once again, what marketing will call rich content experience. So this is, very high video frame rates, instant auto exposure, instant focus and camera, super slow motion, other computational photography features. I don't think it's a stretch to say that we really lead the market in the adoption of these in the mobile space. And then, very serious participation in the standard making for multimedia as well. Other key areas of contribution. So I've talked about the large markets. So really we're looking to do very large system on chips. So that's what MediaTek does, SoCs. We integrate connectivity, so whether that's Wi-Fi, cellular, Bluetooth, other short-range wireless standards, a complete application platform of both hardware and software, so we can provide turnkey solutions to smaller manufacturers or work at a higher level with larger manufacturers. And then, of course, the multimedia I referred to before. The idea here is to indicate that both our track record of investment and our intention to continue to invest in these areas. So we're really putting our money where our mouth is in terms of investing in R&D for the future. So this highlights a few areas in connectivity and modem, so wireless, computing, so that might be processors for application processors or AI processing, and then multimedia. So last year, the company spent nearly $2 billion US in R&D. So that's actually, we're punching above our weight in the semiconductor industry. So 7th overall in investment in R&D. So I think the future looks bright. As an engineer, I like this slide. So this is a chart of the company's R&D investment over the last 15 years. And what I particularly like is that through good markets and bad, there has not been a significant downturn in the company's commitment to investing in engineering and R&D in the future. So a few words about MediaTek here in the US. Well, I'll start with globally. So we operate in 12 countries around the world with over 16,000 employees. Obviously a strong presence in Asia. Our company is based in Taiwan, but also a significant footprint in Western Europe and the US, particularly for R&D. So in the US, we have seven sites, 5 of which are devoted primarily to research and development, including our site here in Woburn, and a couple of sites which are more specifically targeted for operator support in the wireless space. So we hire people from good universities. This slide just gave me the opportunity to make sure that the logo for my school was larger than all the others. I went to Carnegie Mellon. In terms of operator relationships, you can buy LTE devices powered by MediaTek solutions from each of the major wireless operators in the United States. All right, so something that's near and dear to us here in Boston is our recent announcement of our 5G SoC product. So as I mentioned before, our team has been working in this area for exclusively for the last year and working on 5G for probably 4 years now. And 2 weeks ago, we announced our first SoC in this space. So this is an interesting and somewhat vague statement, one of the top 4 companies globally to advance 5G development. So what does that mean? Well, to me that means that we're making the investment in the product development and in the technology development within our company. We're investing and participating in the standards process to a level that we haven't done before, but is actually quite meaningful. And then partnership with other key players in the space, including Ericsson, Nokia, China Mobile, Docomo. Our intention in 5G as we hit the market will be to attack the high end. So 2 weeks ago we announced our first 5G SoC chipset. So what does that mean? So that means an integrated 5G modem, multi-mode modem as well, so 4G, 3G, 2G, along with the application processor. All the current solutions on the market are standalone 5G modems paired with existing application processors. So MediaTek is the first company to announce an integrated SoC product. So this is based on a cutting-edge 7-nanometer process. I'll mention latest CPU technology. So we're a launch partner with ARM for their new Cortex A77 CPU and Mali G77 GPU, which they announced 2 days before we announced our SoC product. So we are the first announced products based on their new processor and GPU technology. And then the 5G product will include, that's funny, I got an updates message here. Sorry. All right, I'm going to try and skip that. Sorry, the machine wants to update itself. New AI architecture. Right, exactly. New AI architecture. So four times the AI processing performance of our current solution. This isn't going to work.
Bad timing on the update.
All right, that's good. I said to update immediately?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, okay. And then, of course, the multimedia, which I have mentioned numerous times. The final point, speedy throughput. So let's call it the world's fastest 5G modem. So in the sub-6 gigahertz space, we will achieve 4.7 gigabits download speed, which is the maximum defined by the standard. Notably at Barcelona, we demonstrated up to 4.2, and we can expect to achieve the maximum here at release with our SoC product. And that's what I want to leave you with today. That and the fact that we are hiring in our Boston location. We are hiring compiler engineers, and then we have some contract positions as well in the software space if anybody has friends looking for interesting roles. Thanks very much.
So next up, we have the folks from the MathWorks giving their presentation about what the MathWorks does. You might have heard of their software. I think it's called MATLAB. Anyone use MATLAB here? So with that, let's welcome Mike McLernan from the MathWorks. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what that screaming is all about, student orientation's next door. So just FYI.
Hello? Okay, great. So I am Mike McLernan. I'm dev manager for some of the communications products at MathWorks. Let me take a little poll. I'm going to try to make this a little bit interactive. Who here has heard of MATLAB? Who here has used MATLAB? Who here uses MATLAB? Nice. Who here uses MATLAB for communications? Half the room. Very nice. I'm glad to see that. Well, we're going to talk about what we do and what we've been up to over the last year. So a little bit of an overview. So there's our campus, one of our campuses. We're 35 years old. Our mantra, accelerating the pace of engineering and science. Love that. We're worldwide, over 1 million users. That's great. Quick question. For those of you that use MATLAB for comms, who uses explicitly MATLAB? Who uses Simulink? I see this ratio every single time. Okay, predominantly MATLAB. I just love taking that poll. It's really, really useful. Okay, so what do we do? Well, there's our product list. Bit of an eye chart. Please don't read it. But the point is, even I am staggered by the breadth of our product offerings. Even in the areas where theoretically I'm an expert, I find that there's so much going on I cannot keep track. But what are some of the areas that we're involved with? So here with MATLAB, quite a few areas. What I'd like to focus on is data science and deep learning. So that is a relatively new area of investment for us. You're going to hear more from Etham about deep learning. Etham, can you raise your hand? Who here has done a little bit of deep learning in the past year or so? Good. Who here has seen the most recent cover of IEEE Spectrum magazine? Okay. It says how AI will revolutionize wireless. I haven't read it yet, but I'm eager to. So the point is, deep learning has taken root in the image processing world, and the wireless people are just realizing. And in fact, it was at this conference last year that we at MathWorks got inspired to say, we've got to invest here. So we did, and you'll see the fruit of that effort in a little bit. What about Simulink? Again, quite a few areas. What I'd like to focus on a little bit is event-based modeling. So something that we've been doing for 20 plus years at MathWorks is phi modeling. But, you know, a lot of research goes on at the layers up above that. So event-based modeling is something that enables that MAC and above. So who here is concerned not so much about the phi, but at the MAC and above? A little bit. Oh, yes, I knew you. You're a ringer in the audience. That's fine. But the point is, we are expanding our offerings, and we recognize that the research, a lot of the work is at those above layers. So we'll share a little bit more very soon about what we've been up to in that space. Some application products. Again, it's a long, long list. I'd like to focus on, again, wireless comms and RF and mixed signal. We have realized over the last, 3 to 5 years that people don't just do baseband comms anymore. If they're going to do any realistic comms modeling in software, they are combining the baseband and the RF. So who here does both? They care about both the digital baseband and the RF. Robin, oh yeah, I knew that. But that's a fair amount of people. So we've recognized this. We are working very hard to integrate our offerings so that they do both and more. So something that we've been committed to over the last 6 years, and it's ever growing, is standards-based modeling. So we will offer waveform, standard-compliant waveform generation for all of these standards, and the list only continues to grow. So this is something that we have heard from loud and clear from customers, and we're responding to that. You'll hear a little bit more about various products we offer for some of these standards. Another item, and this speaks to the integration that I spoke of, is the vision is from antenna to bits. So here you see a notional comm system. What all goes around it? So first of all, you need to generate your waveforms. So we have capabilities to generate these standards and more. You got to be able to do the digital baseband. So MIMO, FDM, synchronization, error control coding, that's all there. Beamforming. Modern communication systems are no longer single antenna. You have to do MIMO. You have to do multi-antenna. You have to beamform. Both your traditional array processing and also with pre-coding to orthogonalize your multipath channels. That is available. You have to model antennas. So what if I take a picture of a structure, and can I get the pattern out? Well, you can do that with MathWorks tools today. It's quite nice. RF and channel impairments. If you're testing a waveform, if you're testing a channel, if you're testing a chip, you have to be able to impair your signal in a variety of ways. So those capabilities are there. Etham is actually going to talk about them in his talk later this morning. If you're going to generate impairments, you have to be able to correct for them. So that's all available for you as well in the MathWorks chain of tools. And by golly, you have to measure your performance. You don't know how good you are unless you can get some numbers out at the end. And so we have a rich set of scopes and measurement capabilities so that you can do standards-compliant measurements. All right, I've been singing this theme of baseband plus RF. Here's a case. Robin, can you wave your hand again? Does that look familiar to you? Okay, that's an AD 9361. So some generations have gone beyond the 61, but we, at MathWorks, we offer what we call a support package that exactly models in software the hardware of that chip. There's thousands of registers on there. Who wants to program thousands of registers? Raise your hand. Oh, golly. Okay, well, we'll talk later, how about? However, how much easier is it to do this in software? So that is what this support package offers. You can play to your heart's content in the software so that you don't have to worry about flipping dip switches. If you want to know more, you can Google that phrase. Again, we do a little bit of SDR. What's our vision there? We want to test. We want to be able to give you hardware platforms or connect to hardware platforms with MATLAB and Simulink. You can Google that. Here's the relevant products. And what hardware platforms do we support? USRP, that has been around for a little while. Who here has used a USRP? Okay, very nice platform. RTL SDR, we find this is really, really nice in the educational domain. And in fact, if there's any professors here, please come talk to me at the break, because we think that there is great advantage at the academic and educational level to introduce software to introduce SDR to undergraduates, sophomores, juniors. Their eyes light up when they see, this stuff actually works, and I don't have to worry about triple integrals as much. Zinc, if you want to do hardware prototyping. And finally, the Pluto, which it is a very, very popular and capable platform. If you haven't used it already, talk to Robin, talk to me, we can tell you more about it. What's new? in MathWorks in the last year. This is not meant to be comprehensive. If you're interested in anything that I don't talk about, please come and see me at the break. So first off, last fall, the 5G Toolbox. So this is a product offering that is a standards-compliant waveform generator and receiver. It's open MATLAB code through and through, supports code generation for acceleration. The 18B version supported mostly downlink. The 19A version, which came out in March, has a lot of uplink support. We know there is still much to do. The standard keeps on progressing forward, but we are trying to track that standard as much as possible. So that is a relatively new product. Who here's working 5G? Okay. Who here has used this? Oh, we should talk. Come see me later. Okay. Something that has been a bit of a new move for us is we have a Bluetooth add-on. Again, all open MATLAB code, but for the first time, in a big way, we are modeling all levels of the stack. We've been strong in Phi for 20 plus years, but now we are modeling in open MATLAB code the MAC, the L2 cap, all the way up to the profile level. So if, and we can decode a waveform and port the bits to Wireshark to do protocol analysis. So this is something that, again, we want to do more of in the future, but Bluetooth is the first time that we've done it. This is only a few months old, 19A. In particular, in our WLAN product, we have worked on an AY channel model. So what's so special about that? This is our first foray into ray tracing. So if you're going to talk about millimeter wave modeling, you really need to talk about ray tracing. That's what people are doing. So who here is working millimeter wave? Okay. So this is an area of investment for us, and it's begun. It will be a multi-year investment as well. So there is much to do, but this is our first toes in the water, if you will. We're building a generic capability that we'll be shipping in the near future, and there's going to be much more to come along with the visualization of ray tracing as well. Wireless waveform generator app. So who thinks that MATLAB is relatively easy to code? Who, if having the opportunity, they might not even want to write the code? Really? Okay, we got a bunch of programmers here. That's all right. Well, there are people, though, that don't work with MATLAB every day. They just say, give me my stinking waveform. And so we've responded to that request, and so we have what we call an app that from a GUI, you can say, all right, I want a QAM waveform. I want a WLAN waveform, an LTE waveform. You simply parameterize it on the panel on the left, and then bang, you get a waveform out. If you're interested, you can also generate MATLAB code for the scenario that you just specified graphically. And we are continually working on more standards to be modeled in this waveform generator app. We think that this is going to be very useful for people who are working T&M. And if you have any commentary on that, we'd love to hear it. All right. What are current investment areas in our world? Here you see this list, but I want to focus on a couple in particular. Number one is the deep learning. So we've talked about that a little bit. We recognize that there is a serious trend out there, and our experience has been that customers are really wondering, I got this cool new hammer, where's my nail that I can apply it to? So we are committed to providing you examples, again, with open MATLAB code so that you can take your example that you care about and build neural networks for it. I'm looking forward to hearing Etham's talk in more detail on it. But this is going to be a commitment and a focus area for us in the coming years. And then finally, this baseband plus RF modeling. Again, I've mentioned before, people just don't do baseband anymore. Error control codes are kind of old hat. So we find increasingly that digital comms guys want to go into the RF, and RF engineers want to go into the baseband. And so we need, as a company, to integrate those capabilities together so that it's seamless, so that you can do your ACPR measurements, so that you can do your occupied spectrum measurements easily without having to learn fully the domain of the other side. So again, these are areas for us in the future. If again you have any questions about them, come and see me. In summary, we want to do antenna to bits on the desktop, on the radio, with standards-based waveforms. Thank you very much.